Okay, so now let's look at what the stories are on the news portals. We start foremostly with myjoyonline.com and George Anda. Oof, Fred, be stable. George Anda replies Hannah Tete, don't underrate my capabilities. And we spoke to George Anda on the AM show yesterday. That's on Monday. And George Anda here, marketing communications guru, has worked with MTN, has worked with Glow, and a number of companies, Guinness, Ghana, etc. Originally has an undergrad degree in biochemistry. So he's that good, man. He's that good. I know him very well because he's been my board member before. A Nigeria candidate dies as votes counted. And, according to this very story, there are suspicions that the gentleman may have been poisoned. That's what the speculation is in the Nigerian news media or the tabloids as they've been published. So you get to read, you find that it's quite interesting how the story is. That's the gentleman. And he's the Kogi State's Guba candidate of the PDP, and it's called Prince Abubakar Audu, who was aged 68. All right. Now, let's go to some other stories. And NDC, MPP primaries review challenges ahead of 2016 elections, EC. Let's read this one. Let's read this one. Director of Elections at the Electoral Commission, Samuel Tete, is worried. He's a worried man at the Electoral Commission because, you know, the parties have been clamoring for good elections in 2016. But he says experiences gathered from the MPP and the NDC's presidential and parliamentary primary show that the commission has a crucial challenge ahead of the 2016 general elections. And if you go up, you get to find out, it says, we come down a little bit, it says the commission says it encountered challenges, and some of the challenges encountered include malfunctioning of biometric equipment and delivering of voting materials and late start of polls during the MPP parliamentary primaries in June this year as well. And we know that for many of the elections that we've had over the years, being able to transport the electoral materials to the centers prior to the start of the election has been a bane. And just the last election in 2012 witnessed a lot of that. Witnessed also malfunctioning of many of the machinery that was used for the biometric registration exercise and also the biometric voting processes. As a result of that, voting in some of the areas had to be postponed to the next day. Right, as a difficulty. The parties are already warning they don't want to see this in 2016. And as media, we'll also be very much happy if it doesn't extend to the next day, so that we wrap up with the reporting and also the analysis that we tend to do as far as the election is during the period. So we'll see how something is done about that. So that'll be it. Fred, let's go to the mainstream, if you can get onto the center. But let's go to City FM Online. You go to City FM Online, it's quite interesting. It says police are currently investigating raid at the MPP headquarters. Beatrice Edu was our colleague who was there the early part of the morning on Monday. She gave us a brief as to what really was happening at the MPP headquarters and told us about the raid that had happened the early part of Monday and how the police had made their presence felt at the place. But so far we're told that 12 people have been rounded up. They are being investigated following that very raid. Thereafter, the MPP executives also convened a news conference and were worried about the incident and saying that that was a blot on the democratic dispensation we're practicing as a country. Judicial scandal, judges must open a new era. And then we also have Abuaji Didieye heads to court, challenges defeats. Let's read this. Abuaji Didieye, and I'm going to say Didieye, or the old boy, and the NDC member of parliament for Afram Plains North in the eastern region, Abuaji Didieye, is threatening legal action against the Electoral Commission over last Saturday's primaries. He says he's heading to court. And this is how the story reads. He said he lost his bid to retain the seat or to be the ticket holder for the NDC in the 2016 elections. And he was defeated by Betty Crosby Mensah. And apparently he's not too happy. And so he says he's heading to court. And the other contenders in the election said they also polled some meaningful result. But he says voting, which should have started from 7 a.m. to and ending at 5 p.m., started way as 4 p.m. and then at 6 p.m. in some constituencies. And so this is the reason why he's going to court. He says, I want to go to court because I have realized that the EC did not work according to the electoral rules of our party. Okay? According to the notice of that poll that was given to the EC, they were supposed to start from 7 to 5 p.m., but they got to some polling stations in his constituency and started as late as 4 p.m. and ended just 2 hours later. And this, according to the current holder of that very seat, is warranting him to go to court. That's as serious as we can ever see it. All right, so let's get on to the other pages. We have how the regions voted yes or no for John Dramani Mahama. This makes interesting reading. I don't know whether you've seen this, but if we click on this, you also get to see that some regions voted no a lot more against President John Dramani Mahama. This is how it tallies. You go up, it says a little over 1 million members of the NDC, they voted for the president, all right. But 61,000 members of the NDC or voters, they did not vote for the president at all. They actually voted no, not even to make count of those who did not appear, and even 25,000 others who voted wrongly for wrong reasons or did not vote well at all, and so their votes were cancelled. When you go to the Western region, you see how it is. It's under 60,000, all right. And we have Upper West, Upper East, etc. Huge votes that just did not go for the president. So those in red are those that you can see. All right, so let's go to the BBC page and see whether we can get something from the Africa page. And we have US, okay, this is a world page, US sanctions for Burundi officials. And the US is to place 4 current and former officials in Burundi under sanctions in connection with continuing violence in that country. And we have other stories as well. Africa highlights, you have Mali plea to identify siege gunmen, BBC to launch pigeon service. Okay, we'll be tuning in. Which of the pigeons? Is this Sierra Leonean pigeon or crow or Nigerian pigeon or Ghanaian pigeon? Because there are some differences in the pigeon as well. Very difficult. I think at least we can understand the Nigerian pigeon as far as we are related to. Nigeria candidate dies as votes were being counted. And rescued Tanzanian gold miner dies, apparently. A very tragic incident there. They were in the cave there for 41 days, but came out, I guess, due to the difficulties to his lungs, etc. He just had to pass on. We have Kenyan runners occupy athletics headquarters, and we have one of the last northern white rhinos dies. Those are the stories we have on the front page. The main page, that's a world page of the BBC. So that'll be it. Oh, let's look at this. Look at this before we go, excuse me. My Mr. Ugly Winner is too handsome. This incident happened in Zimbabwe, I believe. And if you click it, you get to find out there was a contest to find who is the ugliest person or the ugliest man in Zimbabwe. This uncle of mine, you see, cha, shit. It was argued that winner Maison Sere was only ugly when he opened his mouth. Fred, go down, go down. Fred, you go down first. See this man, oh. But this is how he looks. Go up. When he opens his mouth, trouble. So this is how the story reads. Fred, okay. Some of the crowd at Zimbabwe's annual Mr. Ugly contest have complained that the winner was not ugly enough. The runner-up and his supporters said Maison Sere's ugliness wasn't natural since it was based on missing teeth. Mr. Sere won in total $330 US. you do 3 times of this, that's Ghana cedi. I think you will even get you to 1,000 Ghana cedis, or let's say 1,200 thereabout, and plans to start a TV career with 1,200 Ghana cedis. All right, and the organizer, David Machowa, told the BBC's Steve Vickers that models make money from their looks, so ugly people should have the same opportunity. Runner-up William Masvino has won every previous year of the competition. Apparently, he is the most ugly, or the ugliest as far as we're concerned. But this time, he was not lucky. He took home $100 US. That's about 350 Ghana cedis. And this man, this is him. I think now he looks good. Okay, not bad. You only get to see that he's ugly. That's him. Look at this man. Well, now, mate, as far as the stories are on the various news portals, the BBC main page and this one, we're calling this very story from the Africa page. It was about a pageant that was convened in Zimbabwe to find who was ugliest of the men in that very country. And apparently, this very man, who has been criticized as not being ugly enough because it's only his teeth that gives the indication to the wider public that he's the ugliest man in Zimbabwe. We're taking a break. When we come back, Handsome Man will be in to give us a lot more sports, and Benedict will be here with a lot more sports. Just stay on. We'll be right back.